Good afternoon and welcome back. Today we got a few student games, and first off, we got a 95%er from the student in a thrilling game where let's just move this face out of the way. Let's move it down here. Kind of interesting game shape where, well, white was just winning from early on. Let's have a quick review on it. Let's not spend too much time when he's doing well. Farrakhan opening and generally played pretty professionally. I guess both sides know what to do in Caracan, even if they don't really know. But interesting that the queen side casting is so bad. Wouldn't have expected it to be that much of a blunder. This is interesting, of course. I guess b4. Yeah, b4. Well done. Well done. Took advantage, and that's about it. Once you take advantage of a position, then it's just about dotting your I's and crossing your T's. Nothing special. He's not trying to do too much. I love this move. It's a bit defensive looking, but I like it because it's correct in spirit in many ways. It's just defending and playing it smooth. Smooth game. Well done. All right. Next game is a bit rockier. He starts losing in the middle, but then he comes back and surges on. So about a 1500 level performance. His opponent not so strong. But let's have a look. Solid opening. Okay. Queen h5. I wouldn't have expected that. Yeah, so basically, a computer thinks that black's pieces are so locked up on the wrong side of the board that you should just be throwing everything at the throwing the kitchen sink at him. But you're sort of not willing to take the punch. You gotta take that stab at it. There's a bit of waiting to make. When you don't know what to do, whether you should do or not to do, then you just wait and see what happens. And that ain't right. You've got to decide. Waiting isn't always enough. So this is important feedback for you. Because basically, look, you've outplayed him. You've outplayed him until this point, but now you're still not really sure what to do. And therefore, playing a very slow move like this, very slow, very kind of a nothing move. Instead, what you should have done, according to the computer, is okay. It's basically preparing this, I guess. Basically, it's preparing something like this. All right. So he gets a little bit of momentum here. It's wild, it's loose, but it's dangerous for sure. And an excellent defense, actually. I wasn't even expecting this, but it's a remarkable defense. Um, Holding everything together. It's a tightrope act, this, and now you see a little bit of pressure and it starts to crumble a bit here. I guess you can start to pressure him down there. Yeah, that's what he started making way for the next big gun, but he's allowing White a sniff here. White's got a chance. Can White find the right defensive move? Take this breather that he got. Well, he does something. But it was not the right move here. Very interesting that this would have been the correct idea. Let's just have a look at the correct idea and try to understand it, really. It's not easy. Not an easy one to understand. D5, better. Okay, well, let's try to understand it, okay? So went in there, and I mean, what else could he have done? Let's say let's contrast it with D5. D5, the problem is you can still play this anyway, but now what? You've got King G2. And h4 is still coming. G4, EXD5, CXD5, and Queen F4. That's a biter. This is an interesting kind of idea here. Um, it's still not a open and shut case, so to speak. Black's got to really work for it, but we can feel the pressure piling on for sure. Now let's just see how the knight here makes a big difference in that regard. So let's play again. Rook A F8, and now what? Queen E2, E5, or Queen F6. Yeah. Okay, the point is you have the chance to play this move. This move is the key idea basically in this position. The key idea is you've got to handle this fianchettoed bishop. It's just way too much pressure on you, and that's the reason why the knight back was suggested, so that you would have enough capability to play this. Tough one, but this is what it takes to really understand the concepts, you know. You still played it anyway, but it was a wrong idea, and you should have been punished here. You should have been punished bad, but yeah, you needed to sink the queen in. But now he had a chance. This seems like the natural move, but can he find a finishing blow? Oh, he doesn't take the bishop. He goes for glory. He's trying to be the gamesman that he ain't. He was trying to be the gamesman that he ain't. But you've not got the right defensive idea here. This was also. Let's have a look. I mean, queen here seems kind of logical, but I understand that it feels a bit weird, but it works for sure. But instead, you played queen up there, and well, what can black do? Black could just shift aside, basically. That's all black needed to do was just shift aside. And there was only one square he could shift aside to, but that's all he needed to do. Instead, he decided to kind of trade down material, thinking that he's got such an awesome position that he can just play two moves in one move. But he didn't. He couldn't do that. So there was a bit of a strange play here from this 1200 level opponent. And he's trying to play like a grandmaster. That's what it was. All right, there we go. Okay, on to game three. Game three, student plays very well, 82%. And was winning the game, but it was still a draw or something. So let's have a look. I like how the student is playing. This is pretty good. Pretty good chess. Yeah, I get it. Probably didn't feel right to play it. I wonder how long it took him to play this move. Uh, is there any way to see? Uh, Not now that I closed the main window. It's okay. I would love to see how long it took him. Oh, I can see it from the timer. 8:55, 8:37. It didn't take very long, but I wonder if he felt that it might not have been the right idea. The point is you're giving up your bishop pair. I get it that it's not clear what else to do, and if you don't do it, wouldn't it allow this? So I get that. Computer thinks anyway you should have gone all out on the other side of the board, and even sacrifice a pawn here, which is it's not a sacrifice actually because you're forking queen and rook. Wow, deep spotting there. Some deep spotting here. Basically, harass the knight, deflect the bishop, and then exploit this. It's a really deep idea. Not an easy one. So it's all right. You're still in the lead here. You're still in the lead, and this is pretty clean game. It's not an opposite colored bishop endgame, it's the same colored bishop endgame, and his pawns are the ones which look most vulnerable at this point in time. But one bite, you're not taking the right bite here. Let's see. Shouldn't you just take this? Because by not taking it, you're kind of allowing him to have an extra pawn potentially. That's one part of it. Yeah, that is the main part of it. I don't know why the opponent also didn't take his chance there. Uh, yeah, yeah, what to make of this position? Black is ahead, but it's not so clear cut. White is playing very fast. Black doing good, I think, by activating the king. It's weird, this recommendation. I don't understand it, I'm afraid. I'm afraid I really don't understand the idea there. What is the computer thinking? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to look into it too much. Well, now Black's got a huge advantage because he's centralized his king, right? Centralization of the king is so critical. But, he's trying to not let White have his counterplay in return. And this is, as you can see, an error, as it will often tend to be in the endgames. Uh, it's a rather quick move. He feels he has it under such good control that he can afford to play it quickly. But now you repeat moves. So what do you do now here? You just allowed him to repeat moves? No, you shouldn't have allowed him to repeat. You you've got to be willing. You've got to be willing, son, to let them have a run and riot too with it. That's the way it is in these end games. I'm sorry to say. I'm sorry to say that, but that's the truth. So let's just see what you should have done, all right? Let's just see what you should have done. Taken it, and that's it. Taken it and made a queen. That's the idea. Like, don't worry about these spawns, these spawns, these spawns. It'll take him 17 years to get all this way through. It's speed of the pawns at the end. You have to think about that. The speed of pawns at the end. You have to recognize that these pass pawns are going to be way faster than the bulldozing job and then the pawn job that it will take. So, therefore, you've got to be willing to allow a fella to have his own counterplay, but recognize that you're still in the right here. You're still in the right, and it's only a matter of time for you. All right, instructive game. Next one, we've got this is a tough one. 81% for the opponent, 72% for the student. Not his best game. Let's have a quick look at it. Opening, very great, pretty decent opening. Yeah, okay. Pretty clean game, although not sure if it was right to break this just yet, but hmm. Knight here is also appetizing here. Pawn takes. Anyway, ooh, spicy looking move. Now knight here becomes quite tempting. There are all sorts of patterns at play. Okay, so now the student's hunting eye is on. And what's he gonna do here? Is he gonna find, is there any, what did he, what, okay, so he played this move, which is another solid move. and the opponent has blundered here under some of the pressure, but it's not clear what this blunder is. And I guess it's knight here. Knight here attacking the rook and the pawn. But he didn't spot it. Student didn't spot it. He was looking at something else. This is cute. It is looking at motifs. It is advanced style of thinking. But the problem is you've given your own rook a weakness here, and now all of a sudden he's got a pin on you, which could turn things upside down. And yeah, yeah, we're still holding the game through here, but something strange happened there. Something strange happened here. Yeah, yeah, you went for something. You saw something and you went for it. The idea is just fork the rooks and get the material. Yeah, it's not as clean, I know, but this, uh, you're good, kid. You're good, but you're not that good. All right, leave the entertaining play for the people who know really. Okay, but fine. Now it's a tough game. What's going on? So not much to see there. All right, instructive. It was a good game. It was a good game, and you played with a lot of heart, a lot of fire, and but it's hard to play. You know, it's easy to play six good moves in a row, but it's very hard to play that seventh one in a row. And oftentimes that seventh one and then the eighth one, that's all the difference it makes. Ultimately, it's a hard act to follow, but you're doing well. You've improved a lot. It'll take some time before that tipping point emerges, but it will come. That tipping point where you become consistent in following through on what you're doing. All right, here we got the last game of the day. RV versus John Tangs. White won with speed on the end game, so it's gonna be funny. It's gonna be funny. So student never wins on speed. Yeah, so very early on, it was interesting that it's really suggesting to try to trade off the fiat shattered bishop naturally. And did he not have material gain on you here that he could just take this? Anyway, hmm, what's gonna happen here? Interesting that this is incorrect. Yeah, it feels so natural to take that, but the best idea was actually Queen E2 to basically exploit this weird knight and that weird queen that was under attack. All right, this is the more linear game. Linear play requires consistent linearity. So a very good endgame becomes so important with your style of play. Your style of play is about endgames, but you've got to learn how to win those endgames. So far, you're doing all right in this one. I'm not saying it's too bad, but there is a defensiveness in your rook moves, which uh, which needs to be considered. Okay, so let's try to give some instructive feedback here for the end game because yeah, it's true you won this game. You did well, but let's try to see what you could do differently here. What could you improve on? So now when I analyze this position, I see you have a 3-2 advantage on this side of the board. So what you should try to do is kind of get some pawns traded off and get a passed pawn that you can really put pressure on with. He's got a 4-3 on you, but your king's there to block it all, so you don't have to worry. Now, there comes the question: do you try to get your king all the way here to try to clip off these pawns? I don't know. Doesn't feel like it would be right, but the devil's in the details, and it feels like black would be able to stop you from advancing if you really wanted to anyway. Probably. But this is an interesting tactic. Like you could have taken it here and then won a pawn basically by doing that. But neither of you saw that, and that tactic is still on. But now here, in this phase of the game, that black king looks awfully vulnerable, I gotta say. So you know the kind of move that springs out to me is actually something like pawn up here with the idea of going up even a second time. Although more simply just taking a pawn makes a lot of sense. But yeah, check. Okay. There's a tactic where you check him and then do it. But this is a complicated one. Nobody saw that. All right. You just took it simply. And yeah, you could have won the second pawn by taking this rook instead. Okay. Minor difference. But this move I really don't like. This rook f4 is the move I want to talk about as, problem here. Problem in your way of thinking about endgame somehow. The thing is, you've got to have an active rook, right? And this is very passive one. Is what would be more correct? What would be more correct? Taking is also not so straightforward because this does come under attack. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I gotta say it's not the easiest one to play, but yes, centralizing king also feels good, and maybe even not taking the pawn after he takes, but going back here. I don't know. All right. Anyway, I guess you did all right. Good games. Catch you later.